Okay. Daniel, how about we start this?
And welcome everyone to A Podcast Divided. I am Daniel and I'm a Cubs fan.
And I'm Andy, and I'm still a Sox fan.
And this is A Podcast Divided after the intro.
Your Daily Cubs White Sox podcast, the best place for all the baseball debate you need.
We are A Podcast Divided. That was the intro. And hopefully we can change that clip to show the New World Series victory. As Andy, as you have such limited time, how about you start us off with the White Sox stuff before I talk about the Cubs after you gotta go?
All right. Well, it just appeared in the news today that GM Rick Hahn and assistant GM Kenny Williams just got fired. Thank everything. I do not want them in office anymore. They have single-handedly ruined this team. In the beginning of 2022, they looked like that they were going to win the World Series. Definitely a pennant. They were the favorites among many MLB critics. And 2022, 81 and 81. 2023, we didn't even do anything in free agency besides sign a guy to our biggest contract, $75 million. That just seems like an average contract now, but that's the biggest in White Sox history. Can you believe it? And he's not even doing much, Andrew Benintendi. He's barely contributing to a team that's a dumpster fire right now. I never thought I would say this, but we sold at the trade deadline in 2023. We got rid of Lucas Giolito, Lance Lynn, and for some reason, Jake Burger. Why him? He was a fan favorite. Everyone loves Jake Burger. He was the second best player in the White Sox. Why not get rid of Tim Anderson, who literally got punched in the face? Hello, Keith. He got knocked down, and the Cleveland announcer famously said, "Down goes Anderson, down goes Anderson." He is a cancer to this team. About a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, Kenyon Middleton went out after being traded from the White Sox, because remember, they sold, and said that this team has a culture problem, that this team, the people in the bullpen were falling asleep, and no one was doing anything about it. This team has no leader. This team has no coach to coach them. I mean, Pedro, we all thought that he was going to be a great coach because the White Sox said that he stunned them. Yeah, maybe because of how cheap he is. That's I guarantee you that's why, Daniel. This team is awful. So awful, in fact, that we actually lost the crosstown series to the Cubs. Now, that is a new low even for us. This is extremely sad. But you know what? There's still a little bit of hope for us. Except yesterday, we got news that Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner, is actually considering moving to another city, which is most likely going to be Nashville. But that's only because that the stadium it has a 6-year lease. So in 6 years, the White Sox will have no home. So the White Sox, what they're going to do is they're either going to renew the lease, they're going to buy another plot of land in the city or in the suburbs, or even worse, they're going to head to Nashville or another city that has a big baseball market. So yeah, this season has just been awful. But like I said today, the GM and the assistant GM, Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn, are out. So hopefully we can get a new GM. I heard that the White Sox are considering Chris Getz, but I don't know about him because he's experienced with only the minor leagues. So I mean, yeah, I hope Jerry Reinsdorf sells this team, and we can get an owner that cares about the White Sox and their fans. That would just be fantastic because we haven't seen that in a while. Jerry, I'm glad that you fired all of these people, but you are the reason that the White Sox aren't in their old Comiskey Park. You are the reason that the Bulls didn't have 7 or 8 championships, because he was the owner of the Bulls too, and he still is. And you are also the reason that the Bulls are not good, and you are the reason that the Sox are not good. So hopefully he can sell the team, we can get a new owner, and our owner will put money into this team. He will invest into this team so that we can see a World Series come to the South Side, or I guess maybe Nashville. But
yeah, what's your time projection for the White Sox in the World Series?
I mean, at best 5 years if we can. if we can really get things started, I mean, if we can really get things rolling, I could see them being competitive in 5 years. But
5 to 10?
just sell the whole team. 5 to 10. I mean, it could be 10. It could be 20. I don't know. This team is just a giant, huge question mark. Well, that's all the time I have for today. So, Daniel, I hope you have a good time talking about how great the Cubs are.
I'll take it away. Thank you.
Yeah,
Andy.
okay.
I'll see you in school tomorrow at the
okay. Bye, Daniel.
Bye. Well, that is my time to start talking about the Cubs. Let's see here. There we go. Now it just says Daniel. Okay. That looks kind of blank, but you know what? At this point, let's go with it, unless I can figure out something which works better, which I probably will not find. Anyways, you guys know who I am. Hopefully. So, anyways, first of all, the Chicago Cubs have been having a great season, shocking a ton of people, and really the thing that you've got to look for right now is whether we can pay off and still be good down the stretch. And, you know, we've had some great moments like winning the series against the Braves, and we've had some more, let's just say, not good moments when we, for example, have lost some games to some teams that we should probably be sweeping if we want to be in contention this year. However, just because you're in contention, even the best teams in baseball lose 30, 40%, and the Cubs are not the best team in baseball, but they could definitely go all the way because all you need in baseball is to get in the playoffs, and once you're in the playoffs, anyone can win the World Series. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. All you have to do is get in there. And everyone in the playoffs has a chance to win the World Series. And that's a fact. Does that mean they'll win the World Series? I don't think so. But can they? Yes. And the Chicago Cubs team, all they need to do is get hot at the right time, which is the playoffs. First of all, they have to make it to the playoffs. So I guess at the end of the season now, we just got to go on a run that carries over into the postseason. And all you got to do to win the World Series is win 11 games, though I guess as the wild card team, maybe 13. So 11, 13 games, that's all you got to do to win. Those games, if they're decided by one run, all you got to do is have some lucky moments. So, I mean, bad news for today, though, because Drew Smyly had a bad start, and we ended up losing to a very bad team in the Detroit Tigers. However, we're currently tied in that series, and we did win yesterday, which is a good thing, as we're going to have one more Tigers game tomorrow at 1:10, and then we're going to, on the 24th, so the day after tomorrow, we're going to be playing the Pirates, I believe, at the Pirates, at 7:05. And that's going to be a Pirates series that we should be taking. But then again, the Pirates series is interesting now because the Pirates are a team that are in the Cubs division. So if you want that, then, I mean, if you want to see some division baseball, then that's what you got to see. Also, bye, LOL, I just read that. So that will definitely help out the Cubs if they could do good because that's a 4-game series against the Pirates, 3 games against the Brewers, and then that is 4 games against the Reds. Like, so basically what that's telling me, right? That's saying the next 11 games are against division teams. Like, if you want to tell me that a good moment to watch the Cubs, like a good key moment that the Cubs really need to perform in, I'll put it that way, you want to be watching the games after the Tiger series because those 11 games, I know the Reds and the Pirates, well, actually, never mind. I think the Reds are overrated, but the Reds are actually doing good. A game behind the Cubs last time I checked. But besides the Pirates, those are two teams that the Cubs are competing for the NL Central title. And I'm pretty sure that it would be better to be in the third wild card versus third division winner game versus the top two wild cards. And they're definitely not being one of the two top division winners because those are the Dodgers and the Braves. But if we make it to the division and win that, we're going against the Brewers. I firmly believe that the Reds have no shot at this. I mean, they're exceeding expectations, and they're good, but I don't think they're good enough to make a run. I feel like the Cubs have a ton of good talent, tons of veterans, young players that are all performing. I mean, Bellinger's not having a career year, but that's only because he had one of the best seasons ever in 2019. I mean, this is a Cubs roster that could go all the way if their bullpen keeps pitching good and if they're starting pitching on those lower starters. I mean, Justin Steele, I mean, he's going out there, and I'm saying we're going to win. So, I mean, if you can get some wins from some lower of the rotation guys, like get Tyone more in there and pitching good, Smiley. I mean, Hendricks has been great. And sadly, Stroman, of course, is injured, looking like he might not even be back on the Cubs before next season. But speaking of next season will be great for the Chicago Cubs. But we're talking about this season now. But I'm just saying, if we can make a run this season, next season, man, it should be awesome. But let's hope we can do it this season because that's what I'm following the most because this is now. And let's win it now, and then let's do some more. Because, to be honest, a scenario that I can kind of loosely compare is 2015 and 2016 is 2023 and 2024. The Cubs are worse than they were in 2015, but we've improved a lot and, like, surprised people. Like, in 2015, you had people who knew the Cubs were going to be good soon, but they were still rebuilding, and they still knew that although the Cubs were going to be good soon, 2015 was probably too early, and even, like, Theo and all the guys in Cubs management, they were not considering that the Cubs are going to have an amazing season. And look at that, NLCS. I mean, come on, you're not going to tell me that this team cannot make a run. And all you got to do when you make a run is go on a hot streak at the right time, like I already said. And we're looking at the schedule. I believe that if the Cubs can sweep the Brewers, win 2 out of 4 against the Pirates, because I don't want to be too optimistic, and then tie with the Reds, we're looking at 4-8 and then 3. Yeah, that's like 7 out of 11. I feel like we win the division then because the Reds are still in the race, but they're down from us, and the Brewers are the team that I worry about the most, although the Brewers are also the team that I think we can beat. They're good, but are the Brewers good enough that the Cubs have no shot at them? No, we can beat the Brewers easy. All we got to do is get the job done like we've been doing a lot this season. Not like we did against KC on the first game of that series. However, we proceeded to win the next two games in that series and take 2 out of 3. We won the first game against Detroit this series. We lost tonight. So even the best teams lose, like I already said. Are we going to sit down and say the Cubs are bad now? No. Of course, we're not even that hot now, but we're winning enough. Like, we should be sweeping all these teams if you look at record-wise. But baseball, and anyone can win in baseball. So don't tell me that the Cubs, if they're actually good, they're going to sweep the Tigers, sweep the Pirates. And I don't know about the Brewers and the Reds because they're in contention. But if they want to beat them, I guess you might say they better sweep them too. That's not how it's going to work. But anyways, after that series against the Reds, which is the third division series that we're going to look at, we're looking at a series against the Giants for 3, who are in contention, and I believe they've got the third spot. Or I don't know. We might be tied with them now because they were in the third spot before today's game, and we were in the second spot. But they're in the wild card race, and they're a good team, better than the Reds and maybe about the Brewers level. They're of course in a better division. We're in the worst division in baseball, so I mean that's going to have a factor in why they're not in the division. But that's also why the Brewers are the third division team, and that's also why the Brewers will have to play a wild card team, which you might say is actually better considering playing a pretty good division winner And so if you look at that, then we have the Diamondbacks for 4, which is a good team again. But, I mean, they're further back from the Cubs, and I think that they're not that good that the Cubs can't take them on. I feel like the Cubs are better than the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks have just hung around long enough that they're even enough to talk about. Then we're going back to the Rockies. The Rockies are a team that we are not supposed to lose any of these 3 games to. However, winning 2 out of 3 is good for me. Now we're looking back, and we're playing the Diamondbacks again for 3 more games. And then we're playing the Pirates, then we're playing the Rockies, then we're playing the Braves for 3 games. And then we're finishing with 3 against the Brewers. So this is literally a schedule where it would be nice to win some of these easier games. And after we do that, I feel like we're set. And once we win those games, I mean, I think we've got to beat the Brewers and the Braves at least once. We can't get swept either of those series, but that does not mean if we're like a few games up and we lose 2 out of 3 to the Braves and win 2 out of 3 against the Brewers, that's 500 ball. And then after that, season's over, and you can't play 500 ball if you're tied for the 3rd wild card spot. You can play 500 ball if you're a few games up in the division and a few games up in the wild card if you lose the division. So that's about the Cubs schedule. Interesting to see the Diamondbacks and the Rockies come up a little bit, and then a ton of division games. Let's see some comments. Oh, this is Robert. The channel is not the network. The All-Star Sports Network is no more. No! Oh, man. That's sad. Yeah, I do know a lot about the Cubs, that's for sure. But, I mean, you definitely have to agree, though, that although we can't use this channel anymore, we still hope that you guys can switch over to our channel, A Podcast Divided, for future ones, because we're only at 44 subs currently, but we'd really appreciate you guys to follow us on there and watch our live streams and podcasts there in the future. A few more points about the Cubs before I end this thing because it's kind of late. Let's talk about some of these wild card teams, to be honest, and whether I think they've got a shot at the Cubs. The Cubs are actually still in the 2nd wild card spot, and Philadelphia's in 1st. Philadelphia is a good team. I'm not going to take anything away from them. Made the World Series last year, and they're pretty good. But everything else about them, I mean, you've got Philadelphia. And besides that, you've got no teams that the Cubs should be losing to more than a game in a 3-game series or 4-game series. Like, they should be at least playing a 4-game series and at least winning a 3-game one. Like, I mean, not at least. I mean, I guess playing over 500 is good. And that's how the Cubs are playing now. But Arizona, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Miami, San Diego, all teams that are 5 games back. And the Mets are only 6. Washington 7, Pittsburgh 8, St. Louis 10.5, Colorado 16.5. Like, Colorado is the team we should be sweeping. Like, I know we've not been winning all the games against the bad teams, but down the stretch, like I was saying, we gotta get hot. And if we get hot at the right time, we're sweeping all those Rockies. Even if we're hot, I don't think we're sweeping the Braves or the Brewers. We can. I think we can sweep them, but the teams that we got to sweep are the teams that are way below 500, below 400. And was a wild card spot. A wild card spot, so basically there are, I'll show you on here. I'll share my screen so you can see. So, baseball standings, and so pretty much how this works is that MLB got more people into the, or I'll just even put MLB playoff standings. But pretty much the MLB, half the teams make it to the playoffs. So, if you look at this right here. I'll show you how this is, the playoff standings. So here we go. So you've got the division guys. I guess that's how you can call them. So here you go. So for I'll just talk about the NL because this is the Cubs. But all teams are technically in like a race for a spot. But you've got the 3 teams for the division. And the way the playoff, and then you've got 3 wild card teams. Reason why there are 4 here is because Arizona and San Francisco are tied right now. However, what's weird is that San Francisco has gone 3-7 and Arizona's gone 8-2 in their last 10. So what you've got to be thinking is San Francisco dropping out of this race, or has Arizona just gotten lucky and has San Francisco just gotten in a bad slump? I don't know, but here's what I do know. Cincinnati has got a shot, but they're worse than the Cubs. Miami, they've got a shot, but they're worse than the Cubs. San Diego, they're a team I think a lot of people are sleeping on because although they're 5 games back, run differential, I know Andy would laugh at this, but run differential is, I believe, is a key stat. And if you look at the best teams in baseball, Braves are clearly the best team, 206. In other words, it's like it's like saying, okay, I have this many wins. No, I scored 100 runs this season, and then we allowed 90. Our run differential is plus 10, okay? So think about it this way. If you score more in baseball, you win. So over the course of a whole season, although there will be some factors that don't keep it directly in, like, although there are some factors that, like, for example, if you lose 10-1 and then win 2-1, your run differential will be horrible. But over the course of the season, these things tend to even out. So you've got Atlanta, the best team, obviously, in baseball, plus 206. Dodgers, second best, 138. Let's check the Astros. I wonder if they'll be good. 85. That's why they've not been having the best season ever. However, they're still doing all right. Who's an amazing team? The Texas Rangers, plus 184. I think they're better than Baltimore. So basically how these division leaders, how these standings work is the best division leaders. So this is based on record, who's at the top. And the Brewers are obviously the worst one. They have a plus 5 run differential. You know who has the best run differential in all of the NL except for the 2 best teams in the MLB, except for the Rangers? Well, Rangers are number 2, Dodgers are number 3. But 2 of the first and third best teams in baseball. Those are the only 2 teams with a better run differential than the Cubs in the whole National League. 15 teams, mind you, only 2 teams better. And you know who's the third team? The Chicago Cubs. The Chicago National League Ball Club. And you've got a plus 64 run differential. And let's just say this is a team that can go all the way. I know I said it already, and I'm going to say it again. This is a good team. And they're hanging in there, 6-4. They're not doing amazing, but they're doing good enough where they've got a good shot at this thing. And, I mean, the wild card will end up having 3 teams. So there are some tiebreakers between these teams. Like if there are 2 teams tied for the last spot, there are like other like stats that they'll look at, like record against their division teams and something like that. And that's how they'll figure out who's the 3rd spot. But currently, the Cubs are in the 2nd spot. Now, here's the thing that you'd agree with me if you understood this like better. But if you don't understand how this race is looking, then you wouldn't understand me that good. So with the Chicago Cubs and in the playoffs, you want to be the 3rd wild card spot or the division winner. The reason being is if the season ended today, one of these 2 guys would end up getting the advantage and win the 3rd spot, and the Cubs would have to play the Phillies, who are, I think, and most people agree with me on this, are way better than the Brewers. And most people can't even explain to me why they think so. But I'll tell you why. Plus 51 run differential versus plus 5 run differential. Run differential is very important. Now look at this. If the Cubs win the division, they will definitely be the 3rd wild card spot, okay? If the Cubs win the 3rd wild card spot, No. I mean, if the Cubs win the division, they'll play the third wild card spot. If the Cubs get the third wild card spot, they'll play the third division winner. If they win the division, they're obviously going to be the third division winner. So here's the thing, right? I see 4 spots for this. I mean, I'd say 3 spots, but 2 of them are the best. So the Brewers are a team you'd rather play in the first round because you can beat the Brewers, and then if the Phillies will probably win against the second wild card spot, and then we have to beat the Phillies in the National League Division Series, okay? But here's the thing, right? If the Cubs get the second spot, we're playing Philadelphia in the first wild card round instead of Milwaukee. I'd love to go against Milwaukee versus Philadelphia. I know Philadelphia's been 5-5 versus Milwaukee 7-3. I don't care. The Milwaukee is just the worst team. They're going on a tiny hot streak. The most important thing is that if the Cubs can hang in the number 2 spot, they're only 0.5 games up. They need to make it to the playoffs. That's the most important thing. But if you can make it to the playoffs, the ideal position is not the wild card. I know this is the playoffs, and I'd be happy about that. But the ideal position is this third wild card spot. The reason being is we'd play a bad team, probably the Brewers or one of these teams that we're better than. We'd play them in the wild card, and we'd have home field advantage. And it's a best of 3 series, so we'd start out at home, play 1 game there, and then if we need a game 3, if we don't win both games, then we'd go back to Wrigley. So home field advantage definitely helps. Wrigley's awesome in the playoffs. So pretty much the Cubs should be able to win the division. They're only, I believe, 3 games back. However, can they? Because winning the division also means that you go on a great streak because the Brewers started off better this season. And although that doesn't mean that they'll end there, they gotta win a lot of games to be able to make it. And it's not that easy. I'll tell you that much. Because the Brewers started off good, and now they're going to have to play better than the Brewers. And it's kind of like saying the Cubs are a little bit better than the Brewers. That little bit might be 2 games, the way the season is going. The reason being is because if they started off like playing how good they can play the whole season, the Cubs would be in a way better spot. So let's stop sharing the screen and I'll say a couple more things and I'll end it. So the people that I want for the Cubs to play good is I want Dansby Swanson to get a little better because he's been solid, but if he could step up for us, I mean, that would be awesome. He had a home run today, which was awesome. And Cody Bellinger's been great, so all I can ask for is for him to keep batting like 330 or 326. And then besides that, I mean, what else could you even say? I mean, we've got a lot of guys who have been doing good, but also a lot of guys who were not expected to do as good as they have done. And in that sense, you could say it's kind of a fluke. However, in another sense, you could have expected these guys to be doing a lot just like they're doing now. And some of these guys have been underperforming. Obviously, Yan Gomes has been having an amazing season. Like, considering he's been a pretty good catcher, considering he's so old, over 10 years in the MLB already. He got his retirement plan late last year because he played over 10 years. But Drew Smyly, I would like him and Taillon to do better. I think I might have said that already, but Taillon and Smyly had a 4.92 ERA. That's probably even higher after tonight. And then I don't know about Taillon, how good he's been doing. Let's look that up. But let's just say we'd like some more pitching. Yeah, 556 according to this. Yeah. So our pitching this season is not the most reliable. Our bullpen has been great at times, which is partially why we've won so much recently in the last 2 months. But you can't hope for the bullpen to do that good every day when you're looking at a team that's literally like a team that's literally hanging on to that spot, like in the wild card or the division. I mean, nothing's for sure about this Cubs team, but also nothing says that they can't run away with this. And nothing, but also the thing that's most obvious to me is that they're going to be really close, and this is going to be a race that, it pains me to say it, but it's probably going to be decided by those last 2 series of the year. And you know who they're playing? The Atlanta Braves, the best team in baseball, for 3, and then the Brewers, they'll have to be in the playoffs if they make it. So unless they win the second wild card or first, or unless the Brewers drop out. So that's it. I'll wrap it up here. It was a good podcast, definitely, and hope to see you guys soon on Fort Boys, obviously, and also on this channel, because these streams are really fun for us because we love baseball and we can talk about this for a while. We should make more podcasts. We're just so busy a lot, but we'll do more soon. So have a good night, everyone, and go Cubs.